Hey, good afternoon. Good afternoon. Um, it's New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve, everybody. The reason for this video is I want to speak about a past experience or past experiences in the over the last year. Most importantly, driving in the oil fields. I'm gonna start out with that. I'll make another video regarding the dry van and my experiences driving the dry van for a local company. But my experience with driving in the oil field, sand frac, and why you have to do your research and why it's best, if possible, if you're gonna do anything in trucking, you wanna go out there or come out here in trucking with with your own truck and your own business, your own EIN number, your own DOT number, things of that nature to get your own freight. But I went out to the oil fields a little over a year ago, and it was a great experience. I heard about it through a friend of my brother's. Somebody used to work for my brother, and I was in between jobs, so I spoke to the young man. Shout out to David Young, and after speaking to him twice, he never guaranteed me a job. He was just telling me about the opportunities that were available to a person with a Class A license. I did some research, but I was basically going off of his experiences, and like I said, he didn't promise me a job. He was just saying how easy it is for a person to find work when you get to the oil fields. When I speak about the oil fields, I'm speaking about West Texas, New Mexico. I was in Midland, Odessa, and also in New Mexico. I started out in New Mexico. I actually packed up my truck, my Ram 3500, loaded up some equipment, clothes, with very little money. I drove out there, and shout out to Cicero for aiding me during that time when I was headed out to the oil fields. So I packed up my stuff. I believe it was on a Wednesday, and I headed west from Alabama, looking for an opportunity. I got out to Texas on a Thursday and got in contact with the brother. And when we linked up, he took me on one of the runs with him. Took me on one of the runs, an oil fracking run late at night. We picked up at a sand silo, and then we delivered to the oil field. He let me do it, and we came back. He was just wanting to see my experience as far as how I drive and things of that nature. So, I complete that. And like I said, I didn't, that wasn't a job because he was working for somebody. Over the course of the next few days, he gave me a contact with a guy that had some trucks, or owner operator had some trucks, and was running water and I think he was doing sand fracking as well. But when I got in contact with the guy, I never did speak to the guy. I went to his place of business, which was a gym that he and his wife owned. I actually met up with the guy's brother, which was another older gentleman, and went and spoke to the guy. He took me around there, showed me their trucks, showed me their setup, things of that nature. And the guy that I came to see was not there. And to this day, I never met the guy, but that never panned out. So I stayed around, slept in my truck. I stayed around that area of the Flying J and the Loves. It's a Flying J and the Loves right next to each other. And I stayed overnight. I stayed like 2 nights at the Flying J parking lot. Then I go to the Loves parking lot, get coffee, shower, things like that. And I was talking to guys. So I was talking to other drivers, I was talking to owner operators. I met a guy from Detroit that I was introduced to as well. And you know, he had some trucks, but he kept saying that he had a truck on the way, and he had a truck that was in the shop. And he was like, "Yeah, I got you, man, I got you." And between that time, I got another call from another guy that I met through my partner Davion, and we proceeded to, you know, get to know one another. He told me he wanted to meet up, so we met up. And he was like, "Hey man, you could drive this other truck I got." It was a R&O Express. He had a Freightliner and he had Kenworth. So, you know, I took off from there with him. It was a small company, only had 2 trucks. And he was like, "Look, I'm looking to expand, get me another truck." And at the same time, one of my partners out of Ohio was also looking for work. And I told him about it. You know, we was in contact with one another. And I told him, as I find out what's going on, I'll let him know. And I started running with R&O Express, doing sand fracking with the boxes. Whoa. Everything was working out pretty good, but with any small business, when they coming out of pocket or they don't really have it set up in the proper format, it's gonna affect you, because if something break down, if they don't have the money right then and there, that's gonna stop you from working. So we had several instances of things like that taking place. And while I was out there, I was like, man, you know, I'm seeing all these other companies, Halliburton, I'm seeing Detmar, all these different companies, and I'm still talking to drivers because I'm new. I want to, you know, learn what to actually expect, or, you know, learn the job. I'm seeing the water guys. That's people driving tanker trucks with water in them, and they basically wet down the what's called lease roads out there and deliver water out at the oil fields like that. And that's, you know, not unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that was one of the more profitable jobs. And I'm talking to the guys at the oil well, at the oil sites, these guys that work for the companies that's doing, you know, different types of jobs as it pertains to sand frac drilling. So months going by, we having different, you know, situations happening with the trailer, with the truck, from the lights not working to bad tires to the paperwork, and our position as far as getting loads and payment. One thing I can say with the brother, shout out to Kev again, you know, he always paid me as soon as he got paid, he would pay me for my loads. You know, a lot of people, we do a lot of research on YouTube about these particular jobs, and I advise everybody, man, this is somebody who has had a lot of ups and downs in the trucking industry, from owning my own business to working for other people. So I worked for Kev almost about 5 months, about 4.5, 5 months, until, you know, that particular business, you know, ran its course. They shut down, and the owner was moving back east, and he was like, "Hey man, I got another opportunity. Well, I'm gonna get into a whole nother field in trucking, which was, I believe it was dump trucks." So I called my guy again, and he was with another company at the time, and he was telling me, "Hey man, just call this guy." So I called the guy, and the guy offered me a position. So I go over there. They had a real big yard, fairly decent trucks. He had just got, a couple used trucks in, and put me in a truck. With that, we were sand fracking, but we were doing it from the what's called belly dumps. It looked like everything was just going to be peachy cream, but it all went back to equipment and the paperwork. A lot of companies, man, they're running with a skeletal situation going on. They don't have everything all as it should be in order for you, the driver, to make the money that you need to make, because like I said, once they have breakdowns, and if you don't get these breakdowns, or you don't have the proper paperwork or the proper stickers, either your tags, your IFTA, your insurance, all these things are going to affect you. And I knew that coming into it as an owner operator myself. And the only reason I was driving for somebody else was so that I can get back to my own business. In today's time, in today's climate, in whatever situation that we find ourselves in, whatever career path you in, if we're not looking to become our own boss, our own CEO, our own business person, it's going to be rough. When you are looking for an outcome, when you planning things for your own future, as far as upgrading your life, it's not going to really happen relying on somebody else. That was my biggest thing I learned. Also, you have to save. And I mean, in a lot of ways, like even my own personal vehicle broke down while I was out there. I spent about $4,800 getting my vehicle repaired. All that, from that, buying food, coming home. I came home like twice, after like a good week or whatever, having a good week. I had enough money to come home, enjoy myself, and go back out. I get back out, somebody else had been in the truck, or on one occasion, the repairs that was needed was not done. So I was delayed in returning back to work. If a person is looking to get into the oil fields, like I said, as a driver, you need to actually own your own equipment. If you own your own truck, there's opportunities for you to lease a trailer if you don't already own a trailer, because if you're getting the bulk of the money for your work, whatever financial arrangement you make with a particular company, a lot of these companies that are out there, they're actually brokering through the oil company that actually is producing the oil or in need of the sand. I started doing research about water transport, water hauling, and I found through my research, it was a young guy that was a Caucasian gentleman. He used to he's probably still making videos, and he's showing you check stubs. He was showing you how he simplified everything, but he was showing you how lucrative driving or hauling water was compared to sand fracking, because sand fracking is basically like the bottom when it comes to working in the oil fields. It goes from sand fracking to water hauling to hauling fuel, or being in support of the well by bringing equipment out, things of that nature. So what I learned, it was an adventure, and I learned a lot of things from trial and error about, like I say, equipment breakdowns, being overweight, because everybody running trying to get their loads, their next load, and a lot of times when you get to the sand silo, they ask you if what weight do you want, or are you overweight? Do you want to be overweight? Being overweight means you got more material you can transport, so that means more money at the end of the week. But also, if you request overweight, that's on you, because a lot of times they ain't asking you for your paperwork. They going on what you saying. So guys running like that, they're running. You might be overweight, but that's a chance they're taking. Taking a chance is not the way to go when it comes down to anything dealing with hauling, whether it's heavy equipment, whether it's sand fracking, whatever goods you hauling. It's never good to be overweight, because everything, when it comes down to a truck, a semi-tractor, and trailer, the responsibility or the liability falls on you, the driver. I got on my safer right now. I had an overweight one time, and it's listed on my safer 4 times. Overweight, but I've only had one overweight citation. So you don't know how it's going to appear on your for your points on your record, your driving record. So these are some of the things that you got to be careful about. You just can't be out there, and because the company is pushing go, and other drivers, they go, and your peers, everybody go, let's get this money. And then there's also wear and tear on the vehicle. But you need an overweight permit to be overweight. And if you don't have these permits, you're gonna get charged anywhere from $1,000 on up, man. You got to pay, and you got like 14, 15 days to pay that fine if you overweight. So I found myself being overweight. I had an inspection where the equipment, it was some equipment failure, like the lights wasn't in proper working order. The trailer itself, there's a lot of issues with the trailer, with the belly dump. I had a situation out there before I left. The hatch wouldn't open or close properly. It wouldn't close all the way. So I had a minor spill, and I got some state workers pulled up on me while I was on the side of the road trying to close it up. But in order to close it up, you got to open it up, or see what's going on. And this was when the trailer was empty. The belly dump was empty, but it still had residual sand, a lot of it. So when I opened it up, sand dropped out, and the workers, they jumped out their vehicle and just started taking pictures. They ain't said nothing to me. They didn't want to hear nothing. They just taking pictures. Drove off. So when they drove off, once I got the base of it closed, the hatch closed, I left. I get a call about 30 minutes, 20 minutes later, back at the yard, because I took the trailer back, and I was telling them, look, I don't know what's going on with this trailer, but it's not closing. And the mechanic looked at it. We got it closed, but those particular individuals that was taking pictures, they contacted law enforcement, the DOT, and they contacted the owner of the company because the company logo and information was on the side of the truck. The owner called me. I tell him what was going on, telling him I wasn't dumping because you can't illegally dump any sand on the side of the road. So as I was telling him, he was like, I told him what the situation was and how I brought the trailer back to get checked out by the mechanics. He was like, "Oh, okay." And I got a call from a DOT officer. They said the DOT wanted to speak to me. So I spoke to the officer and told him, look, he said, "Hey, if you can get that cleaned up." I said, "Well, I'll go back out there and clean it up to the best of my ability, man." He said, "You gonna do that?" He said, "I never had a driver offer to do anything like that." I said, "I'll go back out there." So I grabbed some equipment, a shovel, a rake, one of those steel rakes, went back out to that location and cleaned up the area, meaning I graded it where it was all even with the rest of the sand on the side of the road, along with some sand that was dumped by somebody else. Whatever their situation was, I don't know. And then I took pictures and I sent it to the DOT officer, and he didn't, I wasn't fined for that. And I had a great conversation with that particular DOT officer, and he thanked me for all that, as well as the owner. But the long story short, your equipment has to be in proper working order. Your truck has to be in proper working order. So save up your money. If you're gonna go out there, have your money right. Do your research, and also make sure that you're aware of anything that's not in working order or in proper order, meaning the paperwork, your insurance, the certifications, the permits, the tags, the tires. Make sure all that stuff is straight before you drive off in the truck, because the DOT are out there for a reason. They're out there to protect the public. They're out there to make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do. And another thing you're gonna notice when you go out into the oil fields is you're gonna see a lot of memorials on the side of the road, because a lot of guys, they go without a lot of sleep, and they doing a lot of rushing, meaning they speeding to get to either the sand silo or to the oil well, and that causes accidents. So be careful out there. Do your research, be careful, and make sure all the things I mentioned are taken care of before you pull off in that truck. And that's with whether you're in the oil field, whether you're driving dry van, flatbed, pneumatic, tankers, whatever. Just make sure you're safe. If you like this video, please hit